Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to give my personal guide to premium and audiophile headphones, and more importantly help you figure out which one might actually be worth buying depending on how you use them. Over the last few months, and over the last few years better to say, I've used quite a few headphones and most of them were in the premium or flagship category. So in the next few minutes I just want to tell you what I've learned from using them in real life, what stood out to me and where the strengths are and where the weaknesses are, and which one I would personally recommend depending on what you care about most. And one important notice before we start: this is not meant to be a scientific lab test, especially the sound profile graphs you will see in this video are just based on my personal impression, so the average line in the center basically my reference point, and everything above or below that reflects how strong I personally feel that area is for the specific headphone. So let's start with the AirPods Max 2, which were released pretty recently. I've been using them for around 3 weeks, and honestly I'm very happy with them. Looking at the sound profile, I'd say the bass is slightly above average, maybe just a bit emphasized, and the mids feel very balanced and pretty neutral to me, and the highs have a nice bit of clarity without becoming uncomfortable. And for me they sit very well on the sides of the head and around the ears. They feel very secure, but at the same time the headband is incredibly comfortable because there's some kind of mesh design which almost feels like it barely touches the top of your head, so you get a good firm fit without feeling the weight in an annoying way. And another thing that really stands out is the transparency mode and the voice pass-through. It sounds so natural that sometimes you almost forget you're even wearing the headphones. Next, the beyerdynamic Amiron Wireless. These originally came out back in 2018, I believe, and back then they were around the high-end premium range, but by now of course they are a bit cheaper. I think I've seen them about 450 to 500 bucks. But if we are talking about pure sound quality, then honestly these are still the best headphones in this video, at least for me. And in the bass region they are not super boosted or overpronounced, but this doesn't mean the bass is bad at all. It just isn't the main focus. Where they really shine, in my opinion, is from the mids up into the heights. They sound brilliant there, very detailed, very open and very resolving. And the thing that really made them special for me was the use case, because I could use them both with Bluetooth wireless and also with aux cable. Just plug it into my PC or my sound card, which was the Soundbuster X-G6, I believe. I will put a link in the description if you want to use the same setup. And they were just incredible, because with many headphones turning the volume up is just making them louder, but not necessarily better. But with the Amiron Wireless I often had the feeling that they didn't just get louder, they also felt more detailed, more resolving, more alive, and you always had the feeling like standing in a real concert, and you really wanted to turn the audio up if there was a soundtrack you really loved. And as you can probably see in the clip, mine look pretty worn down by now, but that's simply because I've used them for around 7 or 8 years and many hours and almost daily. So all in all, it should easily add up for, I think, several thousand hours of use, and in a way that alone says quite a lot. And considering that, I do think they are in okay shape, not great, but yeah. Now the main downside for me was the fit, because out of the box they didn't clamp quite firmly enough on my ears, especially if you moved around a bit, even if in your house, and I do think this is the main use case for this. I don't see anyone going to travel with them, but I think they should be firm enough for walking around in your house. And also a little bit firmer would help them to get a bit more pronunciation in the bass region, because the seal would be better. So what I ended up doing was carefully bending the metal part near the yoke a bit to make them clamp more firmly. I'm not saying everyone should do that, because obviously that's not a really risk-free thing to do on a quite expensive pair of headphones. But personally, for me, it worked well, and I was really happy with the result. So if you can live with a little less bass and if you don't need any ANC, but you care most about actual music experience, then for me the Amiron Wireless are easily and clearly the best sounding headphones in this comparison. Next up are the Bose & Wilkins PX8 S2, which sit around at $700 or $800 I believe, depending on the market. These are really interesting headphones to me because they feel like a very good mix of audiophile sound and modern convenience. I still don't think they sound quite as good as the Amiron Wireless, especially in the wired mode as I talked before, and I'll explain why, but they are very, very close in my opinion. They are much newer, so they come with ANC, and that makes them far more practical if you want to use them not only at your home, but also while traveling or on the go. So in terms of overall lifestyle compatibility, they are definitely have an advantage. Sound-wise, I'd say the bass is even better than on the S1 version. The mids are solid and the heights are really, really pronounced. Maybe for some people even a bit too pronounced. At least to me, depending on the track, they can be right on the edge of becoming slightly fatiguing. But overall, they definitely sound premium, detailed and audiophile. They can be used with USB-C or Bluetooth, which is great. The latency is also very okay. I've used them for gaming as well. But one difference I noticed compared to the Amiron Wireless is that if you turn them up, they mainly just get louder. They don't quite give me the same feeling of suddenly revealing much more detail and resolution, and as the volume goes up, and I didn't get that concert feeling or something like that. And the Amiron Wireless did that in a way that those don't really match. Now the biggest downside for me personally was the comfort. Yes, they sit more firmly on the ears than the Amiron Wireless, but they also put much more pressure on the top of my head. And I think this is because they didn't extend quite far enough for my head shape. So instead of only feeling the actual vertical weight of around 310 grams I believe, it felt like there was much more force pressing down from above. Maybe after 1 or 2 hours that became generally uncomfortable for me. So all in all, if you want a modern, luxurious, travel-friendly premium headphone with strong sound quality, the PX8 S2 are definitely one of the best options here, and I do recommend them. Do note that the spatial audio isn't already delivered with the update. They said they would do so by the end of 2025. We do have April 2026 by now, and to my knowledge this hasn't been done by now. Before the S2 I had the PX8 S1 for a few months, and honestly I was only moderately happy with them. I think I paid somewhere around 500 to 550 bucks or something like that, and at that price point I didn't think they performed quite well enough. The sound profile felt kind of average to me. The bass was good, the mids were okay, but nothing special and nothing really stood out to me. And especially compared to the S2, they really lacked that more clear and audiophile character. The heights also weren't really pronounced, and overall they just felt a bit boring to me. I never had really an urge to turn up the volume and really get into the music. They just didn't create that kind of emotional or immersive response for me. And yeah. So the NC was only so-so in my experience. It worked, sure, but it never felt really great. There was often this slight sense of hearing kind of a wind or white background noise if you turned the earphone on, and yeah, I didn't really like that. So for me, the PX8 S1 were not bad, but they were clearly the least exciting headphones in this comparison. Then there are the AirPods Pro 3. I've been using them for a few months as well, and the only thing I changed was switching the stock ear tips to memory foam tips, because they fit me a little bit better, and the original ones would sometimes get a bit loose. And if you're interested, I will put the link in the description. Other than that, I don't want to spend too much time on them, because I think they are already very well known, and for me they are mainly the option for sports, quick everyday use and being out and about. So they serve a different purpose than the bigger over-ear headphones in this video. So overall, the one I'm personally sticking with for now are the AirPods Max 2. And that's not necessarily because they are absolutely the best for music. If music performance alone was the only thing that I cared about, then for me the title would go to Amiron Wireless, especially when used wired and with a good sound card or DSC. But in my own life, I don't spend most of the day sitting and doing nothing but critically listening to music. My actual use case is more mixed, maybe 1 or 2 hours on the PC, maybe gaming, video calls, maybe another couple hours for TV, and only a small amount of time really focused on music. And for that kind of use, the AirPods Max 2 are just the best overall package for me. They're extremely comfortable, they sit very well, the transparency mode is excellent, and the ANC is excellent as well, and they're simply a joy to put on and use every day. So if you want the best comfort plus modern everyday usability, I'd clearly recommend the AirPods Max 2. If you want the best pure music experience and you don't care much about ANC, then go for the Amiron Wireless, especially with the sound card. They're really outstanding. A very close second, but much more modern and better for travel, would be the PX8 S2. They are the headphones I'd recommend to someone who wants a strong mix of luxury, sound quality and real-world versatility. As for the PX8 S1, I personally don't see much reason to go for them, because for the price point I think you can get better alternatives like the Apple ones or maybe some other. And I don't think the performance justifies the price point. And finally, the AirPods Pro 3 are still my choice for sports and that kind of use, but for me that's just a completely different category. So yeah, that's my take. Let me know in the comments which headphones you're using right now and whether you care most about comfort, sound quality, or just the best all-around package. If this video helped you, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.